Victor's always very kind with the intro there. I guess if you haven't figured out by this point in time, Catholic Church is all about Jesus. And that's pretty much sums it up right there. We're all about the life of Jesus. And we go to the extent that we would create a calendar that is built around that life of Jesus. This liturgical year coming up. This one starts the first part of December. You got one of these calendars. I have to say that the color scheme is not normal. I think they must have been running out of ink.
Yeah.
Usually green.
This big swath, this turquoise one.
Yeah, like a turquoise.
It should have been green like that.
Yeah, like that.
This old one up here.
You
So
said
it
they,
should have been
yeah, they must
green.
have ran out of
The other colors I think are really accurate, but there is no color of turquoise that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Maybe that's because it's a year of grace. There's a little grace in that color.
Year of grace.
Every year's been a year of grace.
So, yeah.
For
So,
about 4 years.
anyway. In Genesis, the very first chapter, God, said, let there be light, and there'll be a dome in the sky, we're going to have separate the night from the day. And then that verse kind of concludes with, let them mark the fixed times, the days, and the years. And so, following that admonition from Scripture, we do. And I got to just briefly, I'm going to summarize our year. It's a thing that's, basically it's got two big festivals, two big celebrations. And we have seasons that build towards these celebrations and then bring us back down the mountain, so to speak. And then we're going to do it again. If you're thinking like right here, Christmas and Easter are the high points, you've already figured this out. We're going to start our new year right here with Advent. It's coming up the first Sunday in December. Advent is a time that leads us up to Christmas, where we're concerned about, the coming of Jesus. In fact, we call Advent and Christmas season the incarnation season. Christmas is a day, but it's also a season. And we'll come back down. Briefly, we're going to have a few weeks of what we call ordinary time. Nothing ordinary about it. It just gets its name from the Latin for numbered, ordained. We're going to see the weeks are numbered, and there'll be 34 total weeks in ordinary time. And then comes spring, we're going to have Lent, a season, and we're going to build up towards Easter, and then the Easter season will bring us back down after that peak. There is a little part of Lent that's called the Triduum. It's the last 3 days of Lent. And so I've had people say, well, it's really not part of Lent. It's Triduum separate. Well, that may be, but if you're going to get your 40 days of penance in, you got to count those. So I've never figured out how you can say that's not part of Lent, but they do give it a separate name. We'll talk about this. So anyway, the simple diagram to show you we have 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. Moving up to Christmas, and then we'll move up to Easter again, and then once we're down and out, we're going back to the ordinary time. Now we're going to look at some of the details of this today. We have, during these seasons, we have what we call holy days, what we call feast. I think on the back of the little paper handout, it tells you
This
you should have got the little paper. Yeah, there is a listing of it down at the bottom of feasts and handout and solemnities that we make a special note of. On that little handout too, if it's a feast or a holy day, it's marked with an asterisk. That indicates it's a holy day of obligation. And there are 7 of those in the United States. I think each country's conference of Catholic bishops gets to make that decision. But anyway, This is a calendar. We all have seen it. It's just one thing to be aware of. Our calendar didn't start on January 1st. It's going to start when Advent begins, which if you look here, you have this line in this fashion. You see a white line dividing the calendar right here underneath the Year of Grace. And we start that purple color there. It's kind of a bluish purple on this year.
Yeah.
That is Advent, and I believe that's December the 3rd is the day that Advent begins. And of course, it will actually start the evening before. One of the things about the Catholic faith is that we do follow a lot of Jewish traditions. The Jews always believe the new day began at sundown. So the night, and then it's followed by the day. So we'll have a Saturday evening vigil mass to start Advent, and it will proceed on. And you'll notice that if you look through the calendar, there are several places where you'll see that certain days have a double stripe. There'll be one color and then something else, and that's because one season will end, and then the next one begin at sundown. All right, the incarnation seasons, Advent, Christmas. Well, speaking of Advent, it is a time of anticipation. And it's a double-sided anticipation. Because, one of the great events of, our Christian faith is the fact that God came down and became man. And so we were prepared, for His coming. The prophets in the Old Testament had been saying He was on His way. It happened. It's a historic fact. And for 2,000 years, we've been going through this yearly cycle, and we get to Advent. We're not only remembering that He first came as a child, a baby born in a manger, but we're also preparing for His second coming. An event that we call Parousia, or in the Latin Adventia, as where we get our term Advent from. It is that's a time of preparation. It's a time of reflection, and it's it's to keep us in mind that He came once, He will come again. So it is to let us reflect on that. It's approximately 4 weeks long, and you can see with Christmas coming the very first gold day on your calendar chart, that it's just one day longer than 3 weeks. It's variable like that. But Christmas always comes. It's a fixed holy day. Anybody? What day?
25th.
25th. Everybody knows that. Yes, 25.
We thought it was a trick question.
Well, wasn't really trying to make that too much of a trick question. The color is officially violet. Violet. Although on this calendar, it sure looks like a messy shade of blue.
Yeah.
But it should be. I think this one over here shows it to be a little bit better. It's we use in Mass the Advent wreath. Every Sunday we'll light a new candle until all 4 of them are to be lit by the time the 4th Sunday of Advent comes around. We'll have one day that has a different colored candle, and it's the 3rd Sunday. This is a day that we refer to as Laudate Sunday, and the color of the candle is pink, and the church even allows the priest to wear vestments of that. Well, it's not really pink. They say it's rose.
Rose.
Okay. But as I don't know, I've been Catholic going on 40 years or so, and I know that I've never seen a priest with a rose vestment. So I would imagine priests will have on the violet or purple
Yeah.
one. It always got tickled because Father Shane, before he came to Port Neches, had been at St. Charles for a while. And he told me he always loved Advent and Lent because he got to wear purple over there.
Important action.
So, oh, you got that, okay. There is in Advent, there is a single day that's part of our holy days of obligation. And that is, you can see it's in the first week on your calendar, it's the 8th, Immaculate Conception. That's a term that gets a lot of people confused, especially if they're not Catholic. It actually has nothing to do directly with the birth of Jesus. It is to do with the birth of Mary, or actually her conception, because her birthday didn't come till 9 months later. But it is the time, you know, that Jesus, knowing that she was going to be his mother, stepped in and saved her before conception even took place, so that she was immaculate, and so she was perfect. Because, you know, it's a kind of a philosophical thing. Nothing perfect can come from something imperfect. So he had to save her. And that is a Catholic belief, that she was saved from sin before her conception. And that is who we call it, the Immaculate Conception. Well, Christmas. It's slow in coming if you're, you know, under 10, but for the rest of us, it gets here way too quick. And it shows up. And the first thing I want to emphasize, it's a season, not just a day. Okay? It is a season. The Nativity of the Lord is just the opening of that season, and it's about 2.5 weeks long on a general rule. This year, it's the way it's set up. Christmas comes on Monday, the Christmas day, and so the season will end 2 Mondays later when we get to the baptism of the Lord. The Christmas season, in fact, the word Christmas is Old English. It comes from Christ Mass, and one of the things that I like about the Christmas season is that, you know, you probably hear from your Protestant friends about their services at dawn on Easter. The Catholic Church does not have a service at dawn on Easter. The only Mass that we have, and I've never known us to do it here at San Luis, is the Mass at dawn on Christmas Day. That's the only one that you'll find in our liturgy on Christmas Day. So anyway, we have our own separate morning feast. The Christmas all the way around through January 1st, we call that the Octave of Christmas. It's the 8 days, and you know, we're getting things ready. I mean, we're gonna, you know, if you're Catholic, you're keeping your lights going on at home, keep the tree up, and you know, it's all you know, a good festival there. The tradition at going to midnight mass. How many of you ever been to midnight mass before? Okay, that's the only time we ever have a midnight mass, is at Christmas. And then we're like, why on earth did we do it? Well, it's because that's, according to tradition, that is when Jesus was born. There's a lot of things about Christmas and the day and the season that reflects tradition rather than something, you know, that we can pinpoint as a historic fact. December 25th. Is there any evidence that he was born in? No, it was selected. That date was chosen by the church way back when, because it's just after the winter solstice. You know, it's one about I think it's the 22nd of December. You reach that point where the days are as short as we're going to get. And then starting the next day, right on through Christmas, right on through till next June, when they start to get short again, the days keep lengthening. And, you had, some characters back in those days, the Magi and whatnot, they noticed that. Okay? The days are getting longer. Well, the church picked that because John the Baptist made a very famous statement about the fact that, hey, I must decrease, he must increase. And so, Jesus, the light of the world, is coming in. And so they said, look, here we have this day, the light is getting, and so they picked it as a point and used that as an explanation. Now, I've heard people try to tell me that, oh man, that's just a pagan holiday, and you shouldn't even really celebrate Christmas, if you're religious. Not so. It's all a matter of how you look at it. You got to take into mind, the idea of Jesus being the light of the world and Him coming here. So it's not really the date that's important. It's the fact that God became incarnate. He became fully man, and that's the important part. So we've reached that point in our first period. We're up on the mountain, and then in the Christmas season, we gradually come down with lots of different holy days. After Christmas Day, we have Holy Family. It's the Sunday after Christmas, and then you have Mary, Mother of God, which is a holy day of obligation on New Year's Day of the secular calendar. And then Epiphany. This is the appearance or the manifestation. This is the day the Magi come. That's taking gun during the Christmas season. And then we have the baptism of the Lord. The end of the season, likely. Of course, he was baptized in the Jordan River, but then again, as the New Testament tells us, baptism was the new circumcision. And Jesus, of course, as a baby had to be circumcised. It's kind of an allusion to that as well. So a lot of these things have double meanings. Well, we then move on to ordinary time. We leave Christmas season behind. First thing I want to point out is if you look here, you see the first week of ordinary time right here next to the goal does not have a number. There is no Sunday of the first week of ordinary time because that is always the Epiphany, that Sunday. The first week, you can go to any lectionary, go to the one that's over in the church and look good. You will never be able to find the readings for the first Sunday of ordinary time. There is no Sunday for ordinary time on that week. But every week thereafter, you can see we have week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Depending upon how the calendar works out, this ordinary time could be 3 weeks, it could be 8 weeks. This little short period, because we're going to be getting into what we call Lent coming up. This ordinary time has got one major feast, and that is the presentation of the Lord. You all know the story of Mary and Joseph taking Jesus to the temple, where he had to be dedicated to the Lord. And because she had given birth to a male, this would happen on the 40th day, because she had to go through a ritual of cleansing after birth. And the Leviticus tells us that they could do a lamb, or if they were poor, they could use doves or pigeons. And she, if you remember the account in Luke, that she sacrificed pigeons. So remember they didn't come from the upper crust. They were pretty poor. The last thing in this first part of ordinary time is not even listed on here. It's February 13th. You'll notice there's nothing there. It's kind of an empty day on this calendar this year. Well, around here we know that's Mardi Gras. That's Fat Tuesday. That whole previous week, the weekend, and right on up to that day. In some places, that Mardi Gras Day is referred to as Pancake Day. The idea was that you had to get rid of all that animal fat that you had stored up from cooking all during the year and get it out of the house, because you were about to hit Lent, and you were to set aside things, and you would abstain from eating meat, and it was part of your penitential period there that we're going into with Lent in preparation for Easter. The Lent is another word in our English-speaking world. It comes from the Anglo-Saxon lengthen, which means lengthening. The days will really get long by the time Lent comes along, and they just attach that particular name to it. It's 40 days of setting aside things that, well, I remember as most little kids, they give up candy or Cokes or something like that. And I know I was really glad one time when Father Benny, bless his soul, said, well, you don't have to give up something as long as you add something, like daily Bible reading, or reading a chapter of books of the Bible every day, or pick up a good spiritual work, or if you've been neglecting your prayer life, get up 30 minutes early and get a rosary in. He was that man. So if you're not in the mood for, and you don't have the willpower to give up something that is really desirable, then think about adding something when you get to Lent. It is a time of penance. It's going to go from that first day. It's called Ash Wednesday. You probably have seen people with that cross made of ashes on their forehead. They've come to either Mass or to a service here at church and got their ashes. Now, I have to tell you this, it's just a sign to yourself, really. It's nothing magical. I have to tell you, I have known Catholics that did not ever come to church, but they came on Ash Wednesday. Got to get those magic ashes. I don't know. I've never even known somebody like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're out there, and it's like you want to say, I don't know about that. For the sake of friendship, you sometimes.
There may have been some, and I think so, some Protestants that have even come to a Catholic ashes. Some of the churches now have started doing some ashes a certain way.
Yes.
That are non-Catholic.
Yeah,
but I recall seeing some years ago.
Well, it's certainly not a requirement to be Catholic to get it, because all of the inquirers who have not yet been confirmed, or in some cases baptized, they can come and do the ashes. That is for sure. Just one last thing about Ash Wednesday, or the Mardi Gras, the day before. In the past, we've had pancake suppers here at Santa Lucia. I thought, well, if COVID totally did away with that, or did you?
No, we're going to have one.
We're going to have one.
It's on our calendar.
Okay.
And we're going to RCIA after.
That is good.
It's real well.
Probably, if you're littlest like I was when I sat in RCIA, I said, okay, 40 days. And I started counting those days. No, there's way more than 40 days. Well, it's because, there's 6 weeks, and normally you think, okay, 6 times 7, that's 42. Something's wrong here. Well, Sunday is always a feast day. Technically, Lent is Monday through Saturday. Okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you if you're laying off sweets or something, go ahead and continue the diet. But technically, the Sundays don't count. Well, okay, then it's 6 times, that's 36 days. I can get 40. Well, if you look, the 6th week of ordinary time, when Ash Wednesday is on your calendar, there's 4 days there that are in the purple. And so we add to 36 days, we add those 4 days to get the 40 days of penance. it's in 40 days, you know, it's that thing. It shows up all over the Bible. Jesus is in the desert for temptation. Moses goes up the mountain to get the Ten Commandments. So 40 days shows up everywhere you look. So it's just a continuation of that. The Lent has a joyful day. It's not the same. It's not gaudete this time. It's a different Latin word for joyful, and it's laetare. And so we have laetare Sunday. The color is rose. We don't have a candlelight that's rose colored. And like I said, I've never seen a priest with a rose colored garment, but officially it's out there. So there'll probably be something in church that will have a rose color to it. We will see when that day gets here. I failed to mention, where did the ashes come from? Well,
Palms from the year
for
before.
Palm Sunday, the previous year, they save those palms, burn them, and get the ashes, and that's where our ashes from Sunday. They'll probably put out, if those of you that saved your palm frond from last Easter, or last Palm Sunday, the church usually calls for you to bring it by and drop it off, so if you want to. Well, during this time period of Lent, one major holiday that's celebrated here is St. Joseph's Day, Jesus' stepfather. We have a real strong Italian community. Sam Boy Cannon will construct this huge altar here with all kind of things, and he will have cooks, all sorts of wonderful things to eat. And it's all free. And you'll be invited to come by. You don't have to contribute anything other than your appetite. And it'll go on St. Joseph's Day, which is the 19th. Usually. We have a problem when you get to what is called Holy Week, which is the last week of Lent, which includes the Triduum. They have to move that feast either before or after Holy Week, because you're not allowed to have anything to interfere with the focus on Jesus. We're going to have that Tuesday, Palm Sunday kind of starts it off. It's a day you wear red, and you walk in with the palm branches and all. Big celebration. It's a long gospel that day because they cover the Passion of the Christ, and it's they really see 2 or 3 chapters read that day. Then the week starts. Holy Monday, Tuesday. Sometimes it's Holy Tuesday, but sometimes it's called Chrism Tuesday because all the churches of the Diocese of Beaumont, there's like 50 of them, they're going to bring their chrism jars with oil in it to go have them refreshed, so they will be replaced and refilled with all the 3 different oils that we use in our various ceremonies. You probably have noticed behind the altar to the right, there is a box there that holds the oils. If you haven't noticed that before, take a look next time you're over to church. Those things will be redone on that Tuesday. We used to take all of the people from RCIA there for it. I don't know.
They're invited.
The
Chrism Mass?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, to the Chrism Mass.
And you know what I miss? It's gorgeous.
The Holy Wednesday, sometimes called Spy Wednesday, because Judas goes and betrays Jesus. He sells him out and gets his silver that day. He's been spying on Jesus. And then we come to Holy Thursday, which is the very first day of the Triduum. Once you get into the Triduum, we're getting into the 3 holy days leading up to Easter. The church does not even do funerals during that 3 days. If you are planning to be married, Holy Week is entirely off, as well as the octave of Easter, which is the 8 days after Easter. We do funerals during that time. It's just the 3 days that there's no funerals, but nobody gets married during the time of the Holy Week and the octave of Easter that comes after it. That Holy Thursday, it's an evening mass on that Holy Thursday. It's the mass where the washing of the feet takes place. You've probably read the story of Jesus getting down and washing the feet of all his disciples, and that is recreated. And of course, that was also the night that he began the Eucharist. He began the Lord's Supper that we eat at Mass each week. Good Friday. It's kind of a corruption of what used to be God's Friday. This is the one day of the year there is no Mass. Jesus is dead. He is in the tomb. And so there is no Mass that day. We will have a service that day. Usually it's at 3 o'clock.
12:15.
What?
12:15.
It's going to be 12:15. Okay, so we're going to do it early. So that's something to plan for. I thought we did the Stations of the Cross.
You do, at 3 o'clock.
We're going to do that. We're flipping them.
Yes, Veneration of the Cross happens at 3.
Okay.
But let me say this, to everything you're talking about right now during Holy Week is not on our syllabus, folks, but will be given to you at a later date. Okay? Go ahead, Chuck, I'm sorry.
Sounds good. Oh, no, you interrupt whenever we need to. Holy Saturday is a big day for those of you that are catechists or in choirs, because that's the day we're going to bring the new folks in. But it's going to happen after sundown. Remember what I said about we follow the Jewish tradition? New Day begins at sundown. And so even though normally during the rest of the year we'll do a Mass at 4 o'clock and count that, as part of our Sunday obligation, even though it's still Saturday. On that night, we go by the Jewish tradition. We will do the Mass after dark. There will be a procession in with candles, and all the newcomers will be baptized during the service and receive Holy Communion and confirmation. So it is a lot going on. You'll see what the various oils are used for at that time. So it is a very, very big deal. It's this Easter visual. It marks a flip over. Usually, you walk in, the fonts where you dip your fingers to remember your baptism. During Lent, or at least during the Triduum, those are empty. And so you want to, it's to reflect, Jesus is not present. He's in the tomb. And so usually some of the new people get to go around and refill those fonts so that people can actually do it on the way out when they were not able to do it on the way in that day. Well, Easter, it is a season of celebration. And it is the word Easter is a Norse term, and we get that through our English heritage because the Norse or the Vikings, came into England and almost conquered it, but they left a huge amount of their words and people there. And so, it's been taken into our English language. But in a lot of the world, Easter is referred to as the Paschal celebration. Easter is an English term. The Easter, why is it always somewhere different? Well, for the longest, we tied it to the Feast of the Passover, which what Jesus was celebrating, the night before he was taken to court and executed. It's somebody finally decided, I guess we have enough non-Jewish Christians came along and by around the year 300, somebody said, you know, we have a problem that we're basing our highest holy day, Easter, off of what a different religion says. You know, we're doing it off their Passover. And so they came up with a formula for Easter. Okay, it's you do it, it's the Sunday after the first full moon that comes after the vernal or spring equinox. Now, you probably always remember that trying to, on the equinox, find about make an egg stand up when you were in elementary school. I never did, but some of you have talent. When you have that equinox, when the sun, you know, the days are equal night, equal daytime, once it moves past that, as soon as we have a full moon, that very next Sunday is Easter. So Easter is a movable feast. It'll shift around quite a bit. It goes to, it has a better than a 30-day window. It can be as early as like March 22nd to April 25th, I think, is the last popular day. And I'm looking here, Easter Sunday this year
March
is on
31st.
March 31st. So it's fairly early, an early Easter this year. So that's something to look forward to. Well, Easter season, we have that octave of Easter, which goes from you know, the high Sunday of Easter to the following Sunday, which used to be called Low Sunday, and today we call it Divine Mercy Sunday. But it's been called by other things, Doubting Thomas Sunday. You know, you always get that reading on that Sunday after Easter about Thomas going, unless I can touch my wounds, I'm not going to believe. And then, you know, of course, you know, a week later Jesus shows up. Oh, I believe. So it's that. And if you are a fan of literature, it is also in Latin is referred to as Quasimodo Sunday, which Victor Hugo, I think, wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And Quasimodo got his name because they found him on the steps of the church on Quasimodo Sunday. Right after the week after Easter. Little aside here. 40 days. I find that number 40 days just, you know, as part of our heritage. 40 days after Easter, we have the Ascension of the Lord. And quite often, the Ascension is like on a Thursday, and usually we move it to the following Sunday. And so, like you see, May the 12th is Ascension of the Lord. But if you back up the previous week, week number 6 of Easter, down on Thursday, yeah, it does say Ascension of the Lord. And so it's actually on the calendar in 2 places where it's 40 days. So you can celebrate it if you're literal, and then or on Sunday, because of the American bishops let you do it that way. And then, of course, the last Sunday in the Easter season, 50 days, Pentecost, birthday of the church, birthday of the church. So it's a day to be remembered. And we have a series of feasts that start. In fact, Pentecost will preempt the 7th Sunday of ordinary time. And then you see the 7th week there doesn't have the number of days at the beginning, but then it picks up 8, and it goes all the way around to 34. Some years, like our current year, we leave a week out because of the way the calendar falls out. There's no way to put all 34 ordinary time weeks. We have to leave one out. And usually, you know, if you ended on the 6th week before Lent, we would pick up normally, you know, with 7. But sometimes we have to leave it out and we would pick up with 8. And then it works out because we always have to end with the 34th week, which has the feast of Christ the Lord, the King, Christ the King. Ordinary time, it's got the biggest part of the year. You see all the big green swath over there, or the big turquoise on your copy. And we have an innumerable amount of holy days. We've got Holy Trinity. We've got Corpus Christi, or body and blood, where we celebrate the Eucharist. There's Sacred Heart. There is the birth of John the Baptist, June the 24th. Remember from the account, Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant and Mary went there for the visit. So he should be born 6 months before Jesus. And so the church kind of like thinks about things like that. In fact, I didn't mention it, but back in March, we had the Annunciation, exactly 9 months before Christmas. So there was, I neglected to mention that one. You've got the Nativity of John the Baptist. We've got the Feast of St. Peter and Paul, Transfiguration. The Assumption of Mary is a holy day of obligation in August. Holy Cross. All Saints' Day coming up, holy day of obligation. It's November 1st. Okay, this is where, we honor all those who are in heaven, all the saints in heaven. Okay, it's All Saints' Day. It's used to be called All Hallows' Day, and the day previous was Hallows' Eve, which is now a much bigger holiday than we ever thought it would be, probably. And Halloween, but is there any religious connotation there or not? I don't know. The day after All Saints' Day is All Souls' Day. This is where we pray for those folks who are still in purgatory. They haven't quite made it to heaven. We have November the 9th, John Lateran. This is the mother church of the Catholics. John, Basilica of St. John Lateran. This is the Pope's official church. This is the mother church. It's actually not inside the Vatican. He's, of course, the Bishop of Rome, not of the Vatican, but even though he lives there, it's the church, the Lateran Basilica is his home church. And so
Can I add something?
Oh, Cindy, you probably have been there.
We were last year,
Okay.
and we went to St. John Lateran Church, and what we were told was that when a new pope is elected, he has to say Mass there first.
I would think so. It's the mother
Yes,
church.
because he's the Bishop of Rome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just a little tidbit.
And like I said, the last Sunday of Ordinary Time is Christ the King, which is coming up here for us towards the end of November. Next year it will come up about the same time. It's after Halloween. Well, Basil was here and he brought in all his robes and stuff
Vestments.
to show you the liturgical colors, and I didn't call him, he left. He's a neighbor of mine, so I'm sure I'll hear about it. Just a reminder, red is the color for Palm Sunday, for Good Friday. You wear red to church. Pentecost. And if you come to morning Mass during the week, if it's a martyred saint day, the priest will be wearing red vestments. The white and the gold are for Easter and Christmas. And if during the week it's for the saints that were not martyred. If you got to live your full life, you get remembered with white vestments. The green, ordinary time, and that's what you see primarily this time of the year up until we start Advent. The violet or purple, Advent and Lent, even though technically there are two different shades. I don't think we have but one, and it's the good old Portentous purple. And that also is used for funerals because very few priests I know have black to do a funeral. Most of them wear the purple for funerals. Have you ever seen Father in a black one? I haven't. Right? I've never known anyone.
Basil wanted one.
And of course, the mysterious rose pink. I That's our liturgical. Well, just to summarize, this liturgical calendar, this year, is all about Jesus. I mean, we start anticipating He's coming. We have His birth. It goes through all the rituals of a Jewish boy. And then, we jump up to where, He's going to be persecuted and executed, but He will rise. And we go through the 40 days of His teaching, and then we will go to Pentecost when the Holy Spirit comes and the church is born. And then we get ordinary time, a lot of feast days, but primarily during ordinary time, you're going to be looking at teachings of Jesus, from Beatitudes to parables and sayings. So that is what we look at in ordinary time. Any questions about the liturgical year?
Did they have anything about the cycles? Okay, we're in cycle A.
Okay, we are in cycle A right now, and so for this year we've been using Matthew's Gospel primarily. Cycle B, which will come starting with Advent this year, we'll switch. The Gospel readings will mostly come from Mark, although John's Gospel gets read sometimes along with Mark's. During the next year to 2025, we'll be in cycle C, and that will be Luke's Gospel for our readings on Sundays. And then next year, 2025, we're back to Matthew and we repeat. So that's a good question. Thank you, Cheryl. I should have mentioned that. Anybody else?
I guess Father Jim will have to get some turquoise vestments for the ordinary time to match the calendar.
Match our new calendar. Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I saw that. I thought, they must have been running short of ink or something.
They had to be.
They didn't put enough green.
Maybe somebody was colorblind.
That's
It's a bad,
Well, here's the artist.
it's a bad job to put them on.
Says about
Well, he's going to get it out.
We'll jump on to the next activity. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.